The arrival of the warship. The sky above Earth had never seemed more ominous. It started as a flicker on radar, a blip that seemed out of place. Military satellites swiveled, scanning the blackness of space with enhanced precision, but nothing prepared the world for what appeared next. A massive object, an alien warship, a kilometer wide, broke through Earth's atmosphere with a terrifying speed, cutting across the heavens like a knife through silk. It was as if the very air had been torn apart in its wake. At first, there was disbelief. The world was not ready for an invasion. Sure, there were whispers of extraterrestrial life, conspiracy theories, distant rumors, but nothing substantial enough to warrant military action. Governments scrambled. The United Nations convened. But by the time they were ready to respond, the warship had already initiated its descent. Everyone, stay calm, General Valerie Sinclair, commander of the Earth Defense Force, said through the comms. Her voice, though commanding, trembled with an edge of anxiety. She had spent her entire career preparing for a battle, but nothing, not even the most advanced simulations, had prepared her for this. This wasn't just a threat to military might, it was an existential crisis. The first cities to be attacked were the ones closest to the crash site. They didn't even stand a chance. The warship deployed a series of smaller craft, sleek, fast, and lethal, as they tore through urban areas. They didn't just destroy buildings, they obliterated entire districts, erasing every trace of civilization with pinpoint strikes. The alien invaders weren't interested in negotiation or taking prisoners. They were here for one reason, to conquer. And they were succeeding. Across the globe, humanity's defenses were crumbling. Conventional weapons had no effect against the warship's shields. Fighter jets became nothing more than specks of dust as they were swallowed by the ship's massive laser beams. Ground forces were helpless, their tanks and artillery reduced to charred wrecks before they even got close. News channels broadcasted the horrors in real time. People could only watch in horror as alien forces systematically dismantled the world they knew. Fear spread faster than the invasion itself. It was then that Dr. Lucas Farrell, a scientist who had long been dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, came forward. He'd been working on a secret project funded by a classified government program, a project that combined human ingenuity with alien technology, a hybrid spacecraft designed to counter extraterrestrial threats. The craft had been in development for years, but no one knew if it would work. The mission was always considered theoretical, a backup option that no one thought they'd need. But now, with humanity's back against the wall, it was their only hope. Dr. Farrell made contact with General Sinclair. I have a solution, but I need your trust. I need you to gather the best team you can find, and I need you to act fast. We have one shot. Sinclair didn't hesitate. She knew there was no other option. With the world falling apart around them, she rallied the last remaining members of Earth's elite forces, the best pilots, engineers, and combat experts. They would be the crew of the secret weapon. In an underground facility, the team gathered around a massive hangar bay, where the experimental craft lay dormant. The sleek, silver vessel was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It pulsed with a faint, otherworldly glow, as if it were alive. Its design was a fusion of human engineering and unknown alien technology. But there were no guarantees. The ship's AI had never been fully tested, and there were still unresolved issues with its power core. The mission was a desperate gamble. As the team suited up, General Sinclair issued her final command. We launch in 30 minutes. We take that warship down or we die trying. The fate of the planet now rested in their hands. The last weapon. The underground facility hummed with the sound of urgency. The experimental ship, codenamed Artemis, stood at the center of the vast hangar, an imposing figure of both elegance and danger. Its hull, a combination of sleek human engineering and alien design, shimmered faintly under the sterile lights. The ship had been built to withstand forces no human creation should endure, but it was also as unpredictable as the future itself. And as the world outside fell apart, Artemis was Earth's last hope. The team that would pilot Artemis was small but formidable. General Valerie Sinclair, in charge of the operation, moved through the hangar with focused precision, her every step a reminder of the weight she carried. She had commanded armies, led operations across hostile terrains, but nothing had prepared her for this. Dr. Lucas Farrell, the project's creator, stood at her side. His usual confidence was gone, replaced by a nervous energy. He had designed Artemis, but he had never seen it in action. His work was theory, the technology was alien, and no one knew how it would react when faced with actual combat. The AI, which had been developed to control Artemis's advanced weaponry, was just as experimental. It was capable of learning, adapting, but also prone to unexpected behavior. Dr. Farrell, are we ready to launch? Sinclair asked, her voice steady, but there was an underlying tension. Farrell nodded, though his face betrayed his doubts. The systems are operational, General. We've made modifications to the AI's core. It should be capable of adapting to the situation in real time, learning from enemy tactics. But there's no guarantee. Understood, Sinclair said, masking her own uncertainties. She turned to the rest of the team, the crew chosen for their unique skills. Everyone, you know what's at stake. There's no room for failure. We launch now, and we give humanity its last chance. The crew moved quickly, boarding Artemis in a seamless operation honed by years of military training. Commander Ethan Carr, a seasoned pilot known for his quick reflexes and steady hand, took his seat in the cockpit. His eyes scanned the control panel, where holographic readouts flickered to life. Artemis is responding, he reported. We're good to go. The rest of the crew took their places, engineers, navigators, and weapons specialists, all ready for the fight of their lives. Among them was Lieutenant Maya Torres, an expert in alien technology, who had been recruited because of her uncanny ability to decipher extraterrestrial systems. She was the only one who understood the alien tech inside Artemis, and though she tried to hide it, the weight of her responsibility was clear on her face. With a low hum, Artemis's engines roared to life. The massive hangar doors slid open, and the ship surged forward, breaking the surface of the Earth as it hurtled into the atmosphere. The sky outside was thick with smoke and debris, remnants of cities torn apart by the alien invaders. Approaching the target zone, Carr's voice crackled over the comms. His tone was calm, but everyone in the ship knew the gravity of the situation. A single mistake would mean the end of Earth. We're in range of the warship's defenses. Sinclair's hand tightened around the armrest of her seat as Artemis tore through the air. The alien warship loomed in the distance, its massive silhouette cutting through the smoke-filled sky. It was far larger than any human military vessel, its surface covered with dark, intricate patterns that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The ship's energy shields were visible, a faint blue glow surrounding it, like a protective barrier that rendered conventional weapons useless. We're too close for conventional weapons, Torres said from her console, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. We'll need to disable its shields first. The AI might have a way to hack into its systems. Dr. Farrell's voice echoed in her earpiece. We've already uploaded the virus to Artemis's systems. Once we engage, the AI will take control of the situation. It should be able to penetrate their shield systems, but be prepared for anything. The tension in the air thickened as Artemis neared the alien ship. This is it, Sinclair muttered. Carr, take us in. Full speed. With a sharp thrust, Artemis closed the gap between the two ships, evading the fire from smaller alien drones that zipped past them, attempting to intercept. Carr's hands flew over the controls, maneuvering Artemis with a fluid precision only years of combat experience could teach. Engaging shields, Torres reported. A pulse of energy rippled from Artemis's engines, expanding outward in a concentrated wave, but it wasn't enough. The alien ship's shields held firm, absorbing the energy like a sponge. This isn't going to be easy, Carr muttered, trying to angle the ship into a better position. The alien warship began to retaliate, firing long-range plasma beams that tore through space, narrowly missing Artemis. The massive ship's defensive drones swarmed like angry hornets, darting in and out, firing laser blasts at the invader. Carr, I need you to get us closer. Sinclair barked. We're not going to survive long at this distance. Without hesitation, Carr pushed the throttle to the max. Artemis lurched forward, dodging lasers and missile fire. The tension in the cockpit was palpable, every movement measured and calculated. The fate of the planet rested on every decision. "Hang on," Carr said, his eyes locked on the warship's approaching surface. Artemis surged forward at breakneck speed, a fraction of a second from slamming into the alien ship when a sudden roar of energy reverberated through the ship. "Energy feedback!" Lieutenant Torres cried out. "We've triggered their defense grid." Sinclair's pulse quickened. "How much time do we have?" 1 minute, maybe less," Torres replied grimly. "We need to disable their main reactor or we'll be torn apart." Sinclair's eyes narrowed. "Artemis, you're our last shot. Let's make it count." With a roar, Artemis shot forward, a blinding light as its shields collided with the alien defenses. It was no longer just a battle of weapons. It was a race to survive, to strike the first fatal blow. The warship, in all its terrifying might, would not go down easily, but humanity was not going to go down without a fight. Into the heart of the beast, Artemis cut through space like a predator hunting its prey. The alien warship loomed ahead, colossal and foreboding, a fortress of death with weapons capable of annihilating entire cities in an instant. But the humans aboard Artemis knew that they had no choice. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was humanity's last stand. If they failed, the Earth would burn, and all that had been achieved over millennia would be reduced to ashes. The stakes could not have been higher. As Artemis closed the distance, the crew could feel the ship's systems trembling, vibrating under the immense power of the alien warship's defenses. Every system aboard Artemis was pushed to its limits, but it was designed for this moment, for the impossible. The experimental technology and the alien enhancements were their only hope. Approaching entry point, Commander Ethan Carr's voice came over the comms. He didn't have to say more. The crew knew what lay ahead. The ship was about to breach the warship's outer hull. "Brace yourselves," Sinclair ordered, her voice calm but resolute. There was no fear, not from her. She had faced impossible odds before, but this was beyond anything she had ever faced. Yet, somehow, she had the unshakable belief that humanity would pull through. If they didn't, it wouldn't be for lack of trying. "Cut the thrusters," Carr commanded. "We're in position." The ship's engines whined as they powered down. The final part of their mission was now upon them. They were going to board the warship itself, penetrate its defenses, and find a way to destroy it from the inside. There was no turning back. Lieutenant Maya Torres, seated at her station near the ship's AI core, watched the holographic readouts closely. "Activating the breach sequence now," she said. Her fingers moved swiftly across the glowing interface, her face illuminated by the faint blue light. "I've linked the ship's core systems to Artemis's AI. We'll be able to override the warship's security from the inside once we breach." Farrell's voice came through the comms, strained with a trace of urgency. "Remember, the alien systems are unlike anything you've ever encountered. Their neural networks are interconnected. If Artemis's AI makes even a minor miscalculation, it could trigger a counterresponse, and we'll lose all control." "We're aware, Dr. Farrell," Sinclair replied, her tone tight. "We don't have a choice." The breach was a meticulously calculated operation. Carr fired a pair of EMP missiles, timed perfectly, designed to disable the warship's external defenses just long enough to punch a hole through its hull. The missiles detonated with a sharp burst of light, and Artemis shot forward, its nose slamming into the gap. The ship's external plating groaned under the impact as the force field breached, sending a tremor through the entire vessel. Inside Artemis, the crew felt the sudden shift, gravity distorted for a brief moment before stabilizing again. "Entry successful," Carr reported. "We're inside the warship." The air was thick with tension as Artemis slid into the warship's vast interior, where the architecture was not just alien, but ancient, jagged, metallic surfaces that seemed to pulse with a cold, synthetic intelligence. The space was enormous, each chamber larger than anything the crew had ever seen. It felt as though they were inside the belly of a living, breathing organism rather than a ship. "Artemis, stay connected to their systems," Sinclair commanded, her voice sharp and decisive. "Torres, is everything aligned for the override?" I've initiated the hack, Torres said, her voice tight with concentration. The AI should be able to override the ship's security protocols, but it'll take a minute to get full control. We need to get to the reactor core before that happens. The crew moved quickly, securing the ship's inner corridors as they made their way deeper into the alien vessel. The walls of the ship seemed to bend and twist in impossible angles, defying the laws of physics. There were no familiar hallways, no standard airlocks, just long, winding tunnels of dark metal and pulsating energy fields. The air was thin, colder than anything they had felt on Earth. I'm reading several movement signatures up ahead, Maya said, glancing at the data stream on her wrist pad. We've got alien patrols. I'll need to reroute some power to keep the stealth capabilities engaged. Sinclair nodded, her eyes narrowing. Do it. We don't want to engage unless we absolutely have to. They moved cautiously, each step calculated, their presence undetected, until the sound of alien footsteps echoed through the metallic halls. Their skin was a deep, iridescent green, and their eyes glowed with a faint purple light, just like the drones that had swarmed Earth. These were the warship's elite soldiers, heavily armored, swift, and deadly. Ambush! Carr yelled, as the alien soldiers dropped from the ceiling, their weapons crackling with lethal energy. The crew reacted instinctively. Carr and Torres dove behind a support beam, using their rifles to fire back at the advancing soldiers. But they weren't just fighting physical enemies. They were also battling against an enemy that had perfected the art of technology. As the fight raged on, Artemis's AI interface flickered, sending out pulses of electromagnetic energy to weaken the alien force's neural networks. The soldiers faltered, their movements jerky as they were briefly disoriented by the attack. But there were too many of them. Sinclair leapt into action, leading the charge as her combat training kicked in. She fired a series of well-placed shots, taking down the front line of aliens, but there were still more swarming in from every direction. We can't hold them off for much longer, Carr shouted, ducking behind a pillar. The situation was deteriorating. The team needed to reach the reactor core and disable it before they were overwhelmed. Artemis, Sinclair called out, her voice tense. Initiate the next phase. Get us to the reactor. The ship responded immediately. With a sudden surge, Artemis's AI manipulated the ship's systems, shifting corridors and creating a new path. The walls of the warship seemed to bend, creating an emergency exit route directly to the reactor core. Go, go, go! Carr yelled, urging the team to move as fast as possible. The sound of alien weapons firing filled the air, but the crew didn't stop. They sprinted down the newly revealed corridor, the walls of the alien ship closing in around them like a death trap. They reached the reactor chamber. The massive, glowing core lay ahead, an enormous sphere of pulsating energy, surrounded by a defensive shield and dozens of alien guards. But it was their only chance to end the warship's reign of terror. Sinclair looked at her team, steeling herself. This is it. We finish this now, or we don't leave here alive. They had made it inside the heart of the beast. Now, they had to destroy it before it destroyed them.